In what might go down in history as the most unofficial announcement in pinball announcing, Stern Pinball has not announced officially that the Walking Dead will be their next theme. Zombies, dead. Yeah. So we'll talk about that and more on Coast to Coast Pinball, episode number 104. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This, of course, is a podcast. It's my commentary, and I am a man out of quarters. Coming to you not live from beautiful sun setting over the ocean, San Diego, California, on a late August night. It still feels like summer today. It was nearly 100 degrees out in the desert where my job takes me every day. Thursday, August 28th. Here we are. So, The Walking Dead, right? Here's what we know. That's all we know. We don't really know anything. I've known for months that The Walking Dead was the next game. It was spilled to me by somebody first accidentally a long time ago and begged me not to say anything. And then someone else who I would trust to be in the know also told me. But I, didn't feel like I should say anything because the first person asked not to say anything. And then other people have either emailed the show or pulled me aside at other shows and said, it's The Walking Dead, right? And I just kind of played dumb and said, yeah, I've heard that's a rumor. They're like, no, it is The Walking Dead. It is The Walking Dead. So I think after about the 10th different person told me it was The Walking Dead, I cryptically just posted TWD on Facebook, and I believe we've mentioned it here once or twice. It's The Walking Dead. Zombies. So here's what we know. Games should be out, I would think, in the next 30 to 45 days. I think we'll see, and that I'm guessing might be 60 to 75 days. I don't know. The announcement, I was sure, was going to come today. Stern likes to announce stuff on Thursdays, and I was going to record episode 104 last night on Wednesday, and I said, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait, because I'll record 104, and then bam, there will be a photo of the artwork and an announcement from Stern right after I release my episode. That didn't happen, so here we are in episode 104. So tomorrow, Friday, August 29th, will probably be the day that you see something from Stern. Now, they did change the main photo, the background photo on their official Facebook page to a don't open dead inside picture, I believe straight out of The Walking Dead, with hands creeping through. So they're either trolling like crazy or confirming it themselves. The reason this has been sort of quasi-confirmed is we know that Stern is building a Walking Dead pinball because in the Walking Dead Season 4 Blu-ray packaging, there's an ad for Stern Walking Dead pinball. So, ta-da, confirmed. So the internet can go wild, or at least Pinside can go wild. Oh yeah, I don't know if you've looked on Pinside, there's a few threads concerning the Walking Dead pinball.
Forum static.
So, if you haven't read through these threads, basically what you will see if you were to dive into them in the Pinside forums is a lot of people going, oh my gosh, I have to sell my Metallica, I have to sell my Tron, oh, I'm selling my Addams Family, there goes my Iron Man, whatever. I'm making room for this Walking Dead pinball machine that I've yet to see. You'll see a lot of people going, don't care about the show, game better be good. You'll see some people saying, where's the code? Because we got smart guys on there. So basically, we don't know anything other than the theme is The Walking Dead. John Borg's designing it. There's some discussion on who's doing the programming. Some think Lyman Sheets is up to bat, quote-unquote, and should be doing the next designing. Others say that it won't be Lyman again, and they're breaking apart and doing team programming. I don't know. That I don't know. I do know this. John Borg has gone on unofficial record, or at least told people, this is by far his greatest design in pinball yet. He's had the longest time to work on it. He's got to implement things he really wanted. That this is going to be the one that he is, going to put up in the time capsule of John Borg designs, apparently. So, apparently Borg is really thrilled with this. I don't know if they're doing anything different with the display. That's been a rumor. A lot of conversation is coming out about the artwork. Will we see artwork based on the comic book or the graphic novel The Walking Dead, or will we see based off the television show? And if off the television show, will we see Photoshop work a la, lots of Stearns from a few years back where we just had photoshopped prints of, characters on there? Or will we see hand-drawn likenesses of those television characters? Or some art version of those television characters. Like Demolition Man has, the characters from the movie on the translite, but they're hand-drawn. They're not photographs. So I was told at one point from someone who seemed to know it would be based on the television show, 100% based on the television show. This would not be based on the graphic novel. So that is what I am expecting. I know there's going to be a limited edition. We know there's going to be a pro. There's not been confirmation if there's going to be a premium. I would assume there will be a premium. I would almost guarantee there will be a premium. It'll be interesting to see the number of LEs that they run on this. The theme is going to sell games. And I think that's something Stern's been very aware of as they design their games and come to market with their games. Something we talked about with some of the small build games recently, like Experts of Dangerous. That theme doesn't sell any games. Skitby's going to have to build a great game. They're not going to sell many units based on the theme. Predator sold a bunch of games based on the theme. Experts of Dangerous, or however it's pronounced, not going to sell games based on the theme. They got to build a great game. Stern had a few in a row with the AC/DC, probably some with the Avengers, maybe. Definitely Metallica, definitely Star Trek, where the theme sold units right off the bat. Kind of didn't matter what the game was, as long as they didn't put up, a blank playfield, they were going to sell games based on the theme. Mustang was sort of a different beast. They did sell some games based on that theme, but the vibe I got reading forums, talking to people at shows, and listener response is that not very many. Not as many as compared to Metallica or Star Trek or AC/DC. So this one is sort of the opposite. They're going to sell lots of games just based on the theme. People love the show. The show is sort of kind of at its high point. It's got big ratings. It's coming back on TV soon. Major story arcs are happening. I watch the show. Teresa and I watch every episode. I wouldn't call myself this giant Walking Dead fan, but I do like it. It's in our must-watch TV shows. We DVR it and watch it. So, but more than that, it's horror. It's adult. It's zombies. It's cool, and I don't know. The violent is really one of the selling points, but it sort of has an edge to it, and that's I think that's been sorely lacking. I don't know about lacking, but it just hasn't. We haven't seen a lot of that. Metallica sort of headed that way. And I think that helped it. I think that we had sort of the rock and roll vibe. So it'll be interesting to see where they go as far as the blood and gore, or if it's just going to be the zombies. There's some storylines in both the graphic novel and the TV show that are really rough, really, really rough. So it's going to be very interesting to see how far they push the limits with this, because there's been a lot of talk out of Stern, wanting to bring in the women, wanting to bring in the kids. This is a theme that could very quickly sort of move away from that. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I can't wait to see it. I'm really excited. I think just the artwork alone on this one is really, really important and hotly anticipated. I hope we don't just see, a couple of the main characters' mugshots or heads on the back glass. That would be really disappointing. I want to see a cool scene of zombies and chasing, and this is one where the logo can be pretty awesome. So I don't know. I'm excited. That's all we really know, and I guess we'll stop talking about it because soon we'll probably have some artwork to talk about, and then hopefully not long after we'll see some games. Probably some video, and then, at Expo, we'll get to play some games. So I think we're only, a month and a half, month and 3/4 of a month away from actually flipping on a Walking Dead pinball machine. So that's definitely the big news of the week. Hold on. Let's talk about The Walking Dead for one more minute. I had an email here. Somebody pointed me to some other info that I guess was posted on Pinside yesterday. I just missed it because there's so many Walking Dead threads. I guess this is official, but the art information is Steven Jensen, Greg Ferreras, Kevin O'Connor, Steve Martin. Programming, Lyman Sheets, Tanya Kleiss, who I have met, nice guy, and Mike Kizivat, Kyzivat, sorry, I don't know how to say your name, and dots done by Mark Galvez. The LE model will be 500 to 600 units, pending gauging demand. Definitely still going to be dots, I believe, so, dot matrix, so no crazy new display. So there you go. There. I had more details than I thought I did. I just needed to check my email, and we did that. This is an interesting little note that I was both emailed about by some folks involved, and also a couple listeners to the show wanted me to mention this. If you're in the Bay Area, I don't know if you know this, but Oakland, California just ended their pinball prohibition. Yes, there are still cities across this great country that ban pinball because it's gambling and evil, and it will pull your children to the dark side, if we're lucky. So they opened up pinball in Oakland. It's legal now, which is awesome. So Stern is doing a promotion with a local Radio Shack store, kind of an odd pairing of sorts, I guess. Maybe not. Maybe pinball people go by, fuses and whatnot at Radio Shack, or soldering irons at the last minute, like I have done before at Radio Shack. So it's running right now. It started a few days back, and it's running till the 19th of September. They have an Iron Man Vault edition at this Oakland-based Radio Shack. So you go there, and then you enter. I believe you can try as many times as you want, and within this 30 days, you have to score 50 million points or more. No sweat, right, on Iron Man Vault? But doable. And then the 16 top scoring qualifiers are going to be invited back for the finals on the 20th of September, and whoever wins this thing is going to win the game. That's pretty cool, huh? So, isn't it crazy that there's still cities that have bans on pinball? If you live in one of those cities, please let me know. I'd like to laugh at your town people for not changing their laws so far. And then, I like seeing Stern do promotions like this. This is good stuff. This is the kind of thing that, definitely brings pinball in front of people's faces that might not see it, because there's going to be this awesome pinball machine sitting in this store for a month, and then you have a chance to win it. I think that's pretty awesome. The exact address of this Radio Shack is 3040 East 9th Street, Suite A. So if you're anywhere in the area, you should definitely go check it out. I would love to see Stern do more of this. I would love to see Stern, partner with someone like Best Buy or GameStop, or somewhere where a lot of people who might be interested and find themselves really liking pinball that maybe haven't played pinball ever or recently might see a game set to free play or set cheaply, and things like this where you can enter to win it. I love it. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a great idea, and I definitely want to give them a shout out up in Oakland. So thank you, Chris, for letting me know about that, and thank you for listening to the podcast.
Going up,
going down,
going up and going down. So I was looking through specific games for this episode's going up, going down, and I looked at a few things that were sort of hunches based on a couple ads I've seen and kind of just a general feeling. And I will say this, going up, I have a specific game for going up. Tron. Tron is still going up in value. People love Tron. I think the production, even though they ran it over and over and over again, I think there still was sort of a what's the right word I'm looking for? There wasn't quite enough production of this game to meet, I think, to totally fill up the goblet of people who wanted a Tron machine, which can be good, and that's fine. Because Tron machines are still selling for, what they were when they were new. If you look at prices on past eBay auctions, if you look at what they're selling for in marketplaces, Craigslist, they're still in that, $5,000 for a really good Tron is, a deal. The average selling price this year for a Tron Pro on eBay is $6,700. Now, a lot of these Trons get modded out. I understand that. But there's, it's hard to get a Tron under $5,000. Now, when you compare that to other Stern Pro games from the past few years, lots of those are going down in price quickly. There's Avengers Pro. No, I'm sorry. There's a Transformers Pro. Currently, there's a whole thread about it on Pinside. I think it's $3,400. I mean, that's kind of surprising to me that it's that low, because it's it wasn't a super hot title by any means, but still that seems awfully inexpensive. I've seen Metallica Pros going for $4,000, because there's a lot of them out there right now. AC/DC Pros I've seen well under $4,000. But I will tell you this, as far as going down, just in general going down, A-list titles are all seemingly stalled out or kind of going down. I look at a game like Theater of Magic. A year ago, you could not touch a Theater of Magic locally around here for $6,500. That was your entry point to a Theater of Magic. I just saw Theater of Magic go in Southern California. It was on Craigslist for a day. It was on Craigslist for 3 days. It started out at $6,000. He changed his own auction to $5,500, and it sold after that. And the fact is that I saw the price drop really shocked me. When you look in the marketplace on Pinside, there's a Theater of Magic in Ohio for $4,800. There's a Theater of Magic in Rochester, New York for $5,600. That's really clean. There's one in Los Angeles for $5,800. So I feel like some of these A-list games that people were really holding on tight to 2 years ago are being sold, and people are buying Metallicas and buying Medieval Madness remakes possibly, and buying Star Treks, and probably going to be buying The Walking Dead. So I think if there's an A-list game out there, if you've been waiting on a Circus Voltaire, or you've been waiting on a, No Good Gophers, which I don't know if you call it A-list or not, but or a B-list game. But there's a lot of games out there that I think had started to really creep up into those higher price points. Like you were seeing No Good Gophers selling for over $4,000 around here. Now's the time where I think you can go out and find some of those bucket list games that you really wanted. Twilight Zones. I've been seeing Twilight Zones under $5,000 for the first time in a few years, pretty regularly. So, interesting time with lots of game prices shuffling around. There's a lot of games for sale. I don't know if you guys see it, but locally here in San Diego, there's a bunch of stuff on the market. I'm just doing a cursory check on Craigslist, just my real quick little check, and I'm seeing. There's a Johnny Mnemonic for $2,300. There's a Pinbot for sale. There's two Pinbots for sale. There's a Space Shuttle. There's a Judge Dredd. Harley Davidson for $1,300. That's cheap. So kind of a nice time right now. You can find some games. Ooh, a Transformers that I hadn't seen before. Let's take a look live. And that's really funny. It says Pinball Transformers, not Transformers Pinball. And I click this ad, and it's literally the Transformers, the electrical Transformers out of random Williams games. Looks like it's from a Black Knight. That's funny. Got me. So anyway, lots of games for sale. I'd love to hear from you guys, from the listeners, what you've bought recently. Have you gotten any deals? I've seen some stories floating around on people, finding some Craigslist and eBay deals. Let me know what's out there. Funny little story. I had a handyman come to my condo today to fix some cabinets. We had some cabinet issues, and our landlord of the place we rent, this condo, sent out this guy. And he walked in, and he saw my Skylab in the living room, and he said, "Oh, is that a pinball machine?" And in my head, I'm like, "No, it's a vacuum cleaner. What the hell do you think? Of course, that's a pinball machine. Yes." I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, man, that is great." And I said, "Yeah, I got 3 others in the back room." And I said, "This," he goes, "What's that worth? What's that cost?" He had no idea. And I said, "That game's worth like $500. He goes, "Really? That's all?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "The modern ones I have in the back are worth quite a bit more. They have the digital screens on them and stuff." He goes, No, I'd want one like this." Like, he was really wide-eyed about that. And I was like, I'll sell it to you for $500. She goes, oh, my wife would kill me. So the old wife would kill me excuse. But it was kind of funny seeing him light up, and the first thing he said is, how much is that? I'll tell you, there's 2 games for sale in San Diego right now that if I had the room, I would go buy. There's a Game Plan Sharpshooter. I would love to buy that game. I have Roger Sharp in my house. It looks like it's in really nice shape. I think that'd be a fun one to go buy. I have nowhere to put it. And there's also a Maverick for sale. The Maverick's a little overpriced. I think the Sharpshooter's priced at $1,100, which, that might be high for that game, but this one does look like it's in fantastic shape, and it says our best offer. And then the Maverick was $17, I think, which I wouldn't pay $17 for a Maverick, but I would pay $13 for a Maverick, maybe. So, I don't know. I just saw those for sale. So, I'm kind of in I want to buy a game. I'm waiting on my America's Most Haunted. That's probably the question I get asked the most, like at Papa recently, and I get emails. Do you have your America's Most Haunted yet? Oh, you will know when I get my America's Most Haunted. You will know. I will be talking about it, and I'll probably do some videos and stuff for that. So, cannot wait. Very excited. Still waiting. So, Bride of Pinbot is probably on its way out soon, because we're itchy to buy something here at Coast to Coast Pinball headquarters.
Random number generator game reviews.
Random number generator game review. If you're new to the show and you haven't been listening to Coast to Coast Pinball, and you might think, what on earth is random number generator game review? Well, here's what it is. We go to random.org, and on random.org they have a true random number generator, so we can randomly choose a number. And then we go to Pinside, and we look at their top 100, 200, something hundred. Let's take a look and see how many games have had enough reviews to make it into the top 100 now. 300. And it ends at 300. So I guess they probably had gotten to 300 and stopped, or we just ended perfectly on 300 games, have had enough reviews to make it. All right, that's cool. So we have 300 games, so we're going to go to random.org, and we're going to put in 1 as the minimum number, and 300 as the maximum number. We're going to hit generate, and we get number 155. So we go back to the Pinside top 100. Gotta get into the 1 to 200 section, and we look and see what is the number 155 game. It is Frontier. Oh no! It's finally happened, folks. We have stumbled upon a game in Random Number Generator I don't know anything about. Nothing. So we're gonna learn. We're going to learn as we go. Okay, so Frontier. Frontier, 1980, Bally. Bally Design. Solid-state game, 1980 from Bally. Early solid-state designs. It was designed by George Christian. So George Christian, I do know, designed some really great games, some big-time games, like 8-Ball and 8-Ball Deluxe. I believe he also did Future Spa. Did he do? Yes, Future Spa. Embryon. I know he did the Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man crazy game. And then I think he did Black Pyramid 2. Yeah, Black Pyramid 2. So George Christian did a bunch of those early, solid-state Bally games. Very cool. So Frontier is a game I literally don't know anything about, so we're going to go in here and look at it, because I don't know anything about it. Layout looks very much like 8-Ball. 8-Ball, 8-Ball Deluxe. We have inline drop targets. We have 3 pop bumpers in the middle, rollovers above it. Lots of inserts. It's interesting. So there's some interesting stuff going on here. Let's look at the promotional flyer that was sent to operators at the time to sell this game and see what they said about Frontier. So Frontier, I can tell you, looks quite unique because there's a dude fighting a grizzly bear on the playfield. There's a grizzly bear on his hind legs, and there's a dude who's going to fight it. That's what it looks like going on. And he's got a hat and a beard. Have you ever seen Man on a Buffalo? There's a video on YouTube that's kind of famous. It went viral a couple years ago called Man on a Buffalo. So I'd encourage you to go look that up, because this guy sort of reminds me of the man on the buffalo. He rides around on a buffalo in this little film on YouTube. So it's a very rustic wilderness vibe on this playfield. So let's say you're listening to Coast to Coast Pinball from Montana or Wyoming or the Dakotas or somewhere. Let's say you're listening to Coast to Coast Pinball from your log cabin. Say you have a log cabin, and maybe you have, a Johnny Mnemonic and a Bride of Pinbot and a Circus Voltaire in your log cabin, and you're always thinking, I wish there was a game that just kind of like tied the whole room together. Well, what I'm looking at with Frontier, this might be your game. The game is blue and orange and yellow would be the colors that come to mind. Lots of blue, and then there's orange and yellow, both on the side on the cabinet and on the playfield itself. The back glass actually has the man, who I will refer to as the man on the buffalo, even though there is no buffalo to be seen here. The man's face, and then also the man on a horse being attacked by wolves. The mean, bad wolves are trying to attack the guy on his horse. So we've got a numeric scoring game. This is not alphanumeric, just numbers. So Joe, don't correct me. I won't say it's alphanumeric. It's just numeric. Just numeric. Got it. I get really stupid on any games from this era and before. This game came out when I was like probably a few months old. So let's take a look at what they said about Frontier, the pinball game that I've honestly never even heard of. The big headline is rugged entertainment from out of the pinball wilderness. Okay. Shoot for Den of Predators and Frontier. Players are up against two separate bonuses. The Den of Predators, 5 rows of animals. These are all the inserts that are right down in the middle. It looks like, you know what? It looks like the Twilight Zone door, except with animals in little circle inserts. The Den of Predators, 5 rows of animals can be lit by the ABC rollovers and targets. 3 animals in a horizontal row step up the Frontier bonus. Lighting all the animals advances the Frontier bonus to 60,000 and the Predators bonus to 45,000 and special. See, this game is back from that innocent time period in pinball where designers thought, we're going to give them 60,000 points for the bonus, and they're going to get excited. And they did. People got excited by that. 60,000 is a lot of points back in 1980. The next headline here is, track down the Grizzly target. 3 inline drop targets lead to a giant crucifix that rises out. Oh no, that's Metallica, sorry. 3 inline drop targets lead the way to the Grizzly target for points. Increase the Frontier bonus multiplier and open the gate to Frontier Falls. So, I can't exactly tell. There's a saucer on the right side. There's a rollover on the right side. There's the 3 inline targets on the left, and I guess there's a grizzly bear target up there somewhere that you got to get to. I can't tell if that's a gate or just a target. The photos I'm referencing here are not super clear. Conquer the ABC feature for extra balls and specials, as well as lighting the Den of Predators, animals, and Thumper Bumpers. Thumper Bumpers. Lighting the Thumper Bumpers. I don't know exactly what they mean by that. I like it, though. Thumper Bumpers. That's just kind of fun to say. Hey, Teresa, do you like the term Thumper Bumpers? Teresa does not like the term Thumper Bumpers. I can report that back to you. Ride for the right drop target bank. So there's 3 drop targets to the right, as well as 3 inline drop targets to the upper left. It says, making these 3 drop targets increases the Den of Predators multiplier. Lights out lanes and target for specials and awards special. 7-digit scoring with commas. Commas, folks. There are commas in this 7-digit scoring. Is right on target for today's pinball sharpshooters. Sharpshooters, huh? Wonder if that's a little subtle jab at game plan. Wonder who did the artwork on this. The artwork's actually pretty kind of awesome on this. I gotta say, with the grizzly bear. I'll have to look at that in a second. 4-quarter coin handling awards, the same bonus pricing as is given for one Susan B. Anthony dollar. Ah, yes, the Susan B. Anthony dollar days. They were trying to shove that down our throats, and that didn't work. So something about 4 quarters gets you the same as the Susan B. Anthony. You get probably 2 or 5 plays or 6 plays for $1, whatever. So that's kind of what they were pitching here for you. I need a better shot of the playfield to look at this awesomeness it is Frontier. Papa actually has a video on Frontier gameplay. It has that vibe. It has that 8-ball vibe, you know. Pop bumpers right in the middle, rollovers drop down into them. There's a center target. I don't know. It's different. You don't see many layouts like this. I wonder who the artwork is done by. You know what? I thought it might be. It's actually Greg Ferris is the lead person listed on the artwork. That's very cool. It's Greg Ferris, Kevin O'Connor, and Margaret Hudson. So you have a pretty good staff there for artwork. So they made 1,850 of these games. I have never seen this thing. It's probably the kind of game in a big place like Papa I would walk right by and not even notice, because there probably was one at Papa. Boy, I wish I could tell you more about this. Let's go into some of the reviews on Pinside about this, because I don't know anything about it. Let's see. Username Caucasian Two-Step on Pinside reviewed this game, looks like in December. He's from Westminster, Colorado. Frontier is a game that sneaks up on you in a few ways. Then it eats you alive like the dude with a knife taking on a grizz. I love that. That's freaking awesome. Caucasian Two-Step. I like that. The pros, he says. George Christian is known for 2 games, 8-Ball and 8-Ball Deluxe. This is the 3rd game he should be known for. A simple playfield and bonus ladder with a shot that has to bounce into the saucer gate from the bumper or shoot through the spinner and be nudged into the open gate from the top. Why have we not seen this from other designers before? Did I miss something? Inline drops, a great spinner shot, an interesting dual bonus system makes the gameplay come together. Some of the most intricate playfield artwork. Nothing sounds like this pinball game. Nothing. A fantastic package from the wonderful talent of Ferris, O'Connor, and Hudson. So he says nothing sounds... I want to know what it sounds like. I'll have to listen to a video later. The cons. Not enough of them made. Playfields get trashed in the bonus count area like most high-traffic bally games do. Luck bounces from the Pop Garden to the bonus collect saucer make a huge difference in the scores of this game. This game can be absolutely brutal. Not quite Flash Gordon brutal, but a different vampiring, bleeding death kind of death that happens faster than you think it would. The takeaway, he says, is a great game that most people don't even know about. Correct. I don't even know about this game. Find it, play it, be pin challenged, and be happy. Chirp, 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 chirp. There must be cricket noises in this game. That's what I'm thinking. Crickets, maybe? Yes, because the next review down the list here in the cons section, sound crickets drives me nuts. So there you go. If you look at the Pinside ranking on this game, it's at 155, obviously, which is where we found it. I want to try and see what its history. It's actually just joined Pinside's ranking recently. It must not had enough reviews, because you have to have a certain amount of reviews before you can get on there. So it just joined in like the 180s at the beginning of this year, and it's already moved its way up to the 150s. So very interesting. So there you go. Awesome. Didn't know anything about it. Now we know a little tiny bit about Frontier by Bally.
Check the email.
So much email, so little time. Alright, I've started a bunch of emails here in my Gmail box. Please, if you're going to email me, always email me at coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. I've gotten some random emails for the show at my personal email, which I don't even know how you got that email address. Kind of creeped me out. That's okay. So, let's see. This is from Frank in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Blah, 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 blah. Love the show. Want more Teresa. What shows/expo type events do you plan on attending in the near or near-ish future? Would love to challenge you to a duel. I see you're a listener of the show, Frank, and I see you must side with the ringmaster. Well, that's fine. Good question. What am I planning on doing? I'm going to go to a website that you should all know and be familiar with, pinballnews.com. Great website. They keep things up to date. They put out great in-depth reviews of games and walkthroughs of designs and rules, and it's very cool. And they have a tab called Diary, which I don't fully understand why it's called Diary. It's called Show Diary. But it's sort of a running tally of what's coming up in past recent shows. And so we are here at the end of August, so I'm looking into September. I don't believe I'm going to anything in September, but I will tell you the rundown for shows here in the United States. The Finger Lakes Pin Golf Open, which is in New York, which was sort of out on my radar as possible if I could have rigged my work schedule to have me in that part of New York around that time, which it did not happen. But the Finger Lakes Pin Golf, if you've ever played pin golf, I'm sure you'd really enjoy this tournament. It's 18 different machines, $25 pre-registration, $30 at the door in Bloomfield, New York on September 20th. That's coming up. You can get Whopper points at that tournament. Let's see. The Fraser Valley Flip Out in Canada. That's in British Columbia in Abbotsford. Abbotsford? I don't even know how to say that name. That's the weekend of the 26th, 27th, 28th. Also, you can earn Whopper points there. Looks like that's a bigger tournament. The White Rose Game Room Show, which is kind of the York show in York, Pennsylvania, October 10th and 11th at the York Fairgrounds. That's coming up. Can't make that one. Was also one I was going to try to make. Pinball Circus takes place at SS Billiards, Lloyd the Great, October 11th and 12th in Hopkins, Minnesota. Frank, I believe you're in St. Cloud, Minnesota, so you should go to Pinball Circus. I will not be there. But I will be at the 30th Annual Pinball Expo in the Chicagoland area of Wheeling, Illinois. It takes place at the Westin Chicago North Shore, October 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. I won't be there the entire week. I believe I get in Friday, possibly Thursday. Thursday, I believe I get in. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Don't know exactly what I'm doing there other than playing a bunch of pinball machines and listening to some cool sessions and talks by all the great designers and personalities in pinball. Have talked to Rob Burke maybe a little bit about helping out more if I can. We shall see. I believe Preston from Game Room Junkies will be there. So if nothing else, I'll get to hang out with Preston and run around and play some games. So that's my next show. That's where I will be, and I'm sure I'll be taking place in the tournament there, which is not only IFPA sanctioned, but it's actually a PAPA tournament circuit event. So there will be top players from around the world at Pinball Expo for sure. That looks awesome. Past that, we've got the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, October 18th and 19th, same weekend. The Houston Arcade Expo, November 7th and 8th. That's a bigger show, I believe. One does really well. The Chicagoland show, which I don't think the Chicagoland show is a pinball show per se, as much as it's sort of a coin-op slot machine jukebox. That's different. So before you see that on the pinball news website and think you're going to run out to that one, definitely look into the Chicagoland show because it's a whole different vibe. If anybody's been to that show, please let me know. Free Play Florida, there's a good one. That's the weekend before Thanksgiving in November. I believe that's in the Orlando area, right by SeaWorld. So if you're in the southeast and you're jonesing for an expo with a tournament and the whole type of thing, that's also a Papa Circuit event. So check out Free Play Florida down there on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of November. And then I don't think there's anything after that for the rest of the year, but we quickly hit the Arcade Expo, which is in my backyard, so to speak, up in the Inland Empire, east of Los Angeles in Banning, California. And I don't know tons of details about that. I know they're going to have tons and tons of games. Southern California needs this. I can't wait. I know they're going to be doing tournaments. My big question has been, is this going to be the same weekend as It Never Drains in Southern California, which is a Papa circuit event? And if so, could they combine them? So we'll see. I haven't seen a date yet for It Never Drains. I can actually check right now. And every time I try to Google it, I get the song It Never Rains in Southern California. So we're looking for It Never Drains. I don't think they've announced their dates yet. Yeah, they haven't. So it'll be interesting to see how that bears out, because it would be a shame to have one of the top tournaments in the country, a Papa Circuit event, with reigning champion Keith Elwin, local boy, in San Dimas, which is probably 25, 30 miles west of Banning, California, where the Arcade Expo is going to have 700 or more pinball and retro arcade games. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So that's kind of my answer, is I'll be at Expo, and I'll be here in California at Arcade Expo for sure. And past that, I don't know. Probably go to Texas next year. That's kind of been my plan all along. But definitely get out to the shows, support the tournaments, and I do appreciate your email. Next up is... Hi, Nate. Can you talk about mods that you want, if you like, love, or hate mods in general, or anything cool you might have your eye on? Thanks for all the hard work, Sean S. All right, Sean. Mods, just kind of in general, mods. I'm not a person who is super, super crazy about looking for mods. I'm into them if they fit the game. I sometimes see games that have stuff that just looks, tacked on to the game, and I don't like that so much. I feel like I've had this question before. If I look at my Twilight Zone, which has kind of been my best, test for stuff like this, because Twilight Zone probably has had more mods made for it than any other game, because there's so much going on, so many things you can do for it. When I got the game, it didn't have anything modded except it had a Robbie the Robot above. No, I've made this mistake before. It's an Invader toy, right? I screw this up all the time. Anyway, I have a cool robot toy over the left ramp on my Twilight Zone, and I have that guy. That was there. I bought a piano mod that has, a spot to put the LEDs for the piano shot and the jackpot light that go into where the scroll would be for a player piano, that light up in sort of like a white thing in there so you can see the LEDs through that. I put that in, and the clock sort of sits in the top of that. I like that a lot. Bought that off of a gentleman on Pinside. And I haven't done much else. I would love to, get the really cool Twilight Zone etched out light for over the Power Mini Playfield. I love those, and every time I see those where they've actually etched out the words the Twilight Zone and the light shines through it, I think those are really neat. I don't have anything over Town Square. You see a lot of different things there. I don't have anything over the slingshots. So I could do a lot more. I just haven't. It's not number one priority for me, really. I have added some spotlights to some different spots. I have a spotlight near Town Square. I have a spotlight above the, kind of in front of the clock, kind of pointing back to light up some areas back there a little bit. I've added spotlights to Bride of Pinbot. I've added spotlights to Tales from the Crypt, just to light up different areas. I actually took a strip LED light on the back of the right ramp, the power ramp on Twilight Zone, and it had self-adhesive on that LED strip, so I put that on the back of the ramp, so it's just barely visible, but it looks like that back edge of the ramp has a little bit of light on it. It's kind of neat. It looks like it, because it's a strip light. So I like that a lot. I would do more, I guess, but I feel like games are in flux here right now, so I don't want to put a bunch of stuff into these games if I might be making some changes, pulling some things. I'm jonesing for a new game. I know I said it earlier, but I really am, and I have America's Most Haunted coming, so that's keeping me from pulling the trigger on anything right now. Well, that's it. That's all. Coast to Coast Pinball episode 104 is in the books. I'm sure we'll have more on The Walking Dead coming up soon. I have a game that's waiting to join the D-list very soon. I think Teresa and I are going to go play some pinball on location this weekend. Got all sorts of stuff. I've got a possible interview lined up for the next few days, hoping to make that happen. And I think you'll be really into that if we get that going. So until then, If you bought a t-shirt recently, I'm mailing a bunch of them out either tomorrow or Monday. Had some orders come through today. Got our 5 Balls is Cheating t-shirt available now at coast2coastpinball.com. It's kind of funny because I was playing Target Pool in the Papa tournament in the B division at Papa,